Do you think the bigger problem is it's also the same people winning?
Well, I don't know. Not really.
NASCAR fans thought they had the sport figured out until Dale Earnhardt Jr. turned the tables. He just called out drivers, the system, and even the fans in one of his most savage takes ever. What did he say that has everyone in shock? Let's break it down. When Dale Earnhardt Jr. talks, NASCAR listens. And this time, what he said wasn't just a hot take, it was a brutal wake-up call. The NASCAR Hall of Famer has been one of the sport's most vocal ambassadors since stepping out of the driver's seat, but lately, his commentary has taken a sharp turn. And it all started with what many fans are calling the most meh stretch of the season. Kansas Speedway was the tipping point. While Kyle Larson dominated the track, cruising to victory and leading the majority of laps, fans weren't exactly on the edge of their seats. Social media quickly lit up with complaints about the predictability of recent races. The criticism, it's always the same few drivers winning, there's no drama, no chaos, just one team. Usually Hendrick Motorsports running away with the show. But Dale Jr. wasn't about to let that narrative go unchallenged. In a string of interviews and commentary clips, Earnhardt Jr. fired back. He said people complaining about the same winners weren't seeing the full picture. "You're looking at the front and ignoring the chaos behind it," he said. Dale argued that even when someone like Larson dominates, the rest of the field is locked in intense, unpredictable battles. He pointed to how many different drivers are consistently running in the top 10 and how strategies and team dynamics are more important than ever.
I see people on social media and even people in our industry talking about an ass whooping. I didn't see it that way. Honestly, there were some points in the race where particularly Chase Elliott took control of the race, and I know Brad drove up there and passed him, Larson. I know Brad was on flat, low air pressure.
People think just because the same name wins, the race was boring, he said. But there's so much going on back there that you're just not seeing. But Dale Jr. didn't stop there.
I watch all the races, obviously, but we were broadcasting this one. We did it from start to finish, and I really enjoyed this race. I know a lot of people, so Larson wins the pole, sweeps the stages, wins the race.
Yeah.
But and there's some, people thinking, I see people on social media and even people in our industry talking about an ass whooping.
He took it a step further, criticizing not just the fans, but the way NASCAR itself presents the sport. In his view, the TV broadcasts focus too much on the leader and not enough on the full field. Just like Richard Petty recently claimed, Earnhardt echoed that fans in the stands see a completely different, more exciting race than what's shown on TV. The front of the pack doesn't tell the whole story, he warned. Then came the bigger revelation. Dale Jr. turned the spotlight onto the drivers themselves and what he sees as a growing problem with the culture inside the garage. In a recent episode of his show, he dropped a line that hit the NASCAR world like a thunderclap. Drivers are programmed. I think the drivers have kind of been programmed to never own up to doing anything wrong and nefarious over the past several years. I don't mind that he didn't know him. What did he mean by that? He explained that many drivers today are afraid to admit mistakes or show raw emotion. In the aftermath of a wreck at Kansas involving Carson Hocevar and Lane Riggs, Dale Jr. called out Hocevar's post-race interview as the perfect example. Instead of owning up or showing genuine emotion, Hocevar gave a canned response, something Dale sees as symbolic of a bigger issue. They're trained to say the right thing, he explained. And when that happens, you lose the soul of the sport. It was a rare moment of total honesty, and it sparked a wave of debate. Was Dale right? Are today's drivers too corporate, too rehearsed, too afraid to ruffle feathers? For Earnhardt, the problem isn't just about emotion, it's about competition. He wants to see drivers hungry again, desperate, willing to speak their mind, make mistakes, and most importantly, race like every lap could change everything. That's what led to perhaps his most controversial proposal yet, a total playoff overhaul. Dale Jr. wants to blow up the current system and start fresh. His plan? Begin the NASCAR playoffs with the Daytona 500 and let the entire season function as one long playoff. Then cap it all off with a final one-race championship showdown. Starting in Daytona with the Daytona 500, the playoffs began, and the playoffs are the whole season ending with a final one-round championship round. Make the regular season feel like the playoffs. This idea sent shockwaves through the NASCAR community. Some fans loved it, calling it a way to bring back intensity and unpredictability to every weekend. Others said it was too extreme, arguing that it would ruin the buildup of the current playoff format. But to Dale, that's the point. The current format, he says, makes too many races feel like filler. Drivers cruise through early months, saving their real push for the final 10 races. That's not good enough anymore. The fans want every race to count, he said, and the drivers should feel that every single week. This sentiment isn't coming from just anywhere. Dale Jr. has been in the trenches. He's driven in the most chaotic eras of NASCAR. He's seen the golden years and the low points. And now, from his position as a broadcaster and team owner, he's sounding the alarm. He wants emotion back, grit back, drama back. He wants the fans to feel like they're watching something unpredictable and real, not a sanitized, pre-packaged program where everyone plays it safe. And honestly, he's not wrong.
Now, I agree. I'm not going to argue Kansas wasn't as entertaining as it had been in the past, but it was still.
What was so much better before, though?
There was some more drama-filled finish. Cars crossing the finish line, closest finish in history.
But you can't have that every single race.
And Denny said,
no one. Yeah, I agree with you.
It's not Larson's fault that the other drivers screwed up.
That's another thing. That's another thing. So.
There's been a slow but growing concern in the NASCAR world that the drivers are getting too polished, too media-trained. Interviews sound the same. Apologies are scripted. Everyone thanks the same sponsors and avoids saying anything that might get them in trouble. But that wasn't how it used to be. Drivers like Tony Stewart, Kevin Harvick, and even Dale Jr. himself were known for speaking their minds, even if it caused controversy. That's the NASCAR people fell in love with, and it's the version Dale Jr. is fighting to bring back. So when he sees a driver avoid responsibility, or when he watches a broadcast that misses the most exciting battles on track, he doesn't just get annoyed, he gets fired up, because he knows how great this sport can be. And now he's making it his mission to remind everyone else. In the end, Dale Jr.'s message is clear. NASCAR isn't boring. The racing is intense, the talent pool is deep, and every race has stories worth telling. But something's been lost in the way it's presented, and in the way drivers express themselves. If the sport wants to stay alive and grow, it has to be real again, emotional, messy, unpredictable, and it has to matter every single week. So whether you agree with him or not, one thing's for sure. Dale Earnhardt Jr. isn't holding back anymore. And if NASCAR wants to ignore his warning, that might be the biggest mistake of all. Dale Jr. just lit a fire under NASCAR, and now it's your turn. Hit that like button if you want more unfiltered takes. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next, and tell us in the comments, is he saving the sport or stirring up trouble?